One day, my parents showed up at my house without warning. My mom smiled and said, "We're moving in, and we're taking the big bedroom." I was shocked. "No, you're not," I said firmly. Her smile faded. "You don't have a choice," she replied coldly. I laughed. "Actually, I do." The next morning, they woke up to a legal notice taped to the door. When they saw it, they started yelling. I never thought I'd have to fight my own parents to keep my home, but here we were. It all started on a Friday night. I had just gotten home from work, tired after a long week. I was looking forward to a quiet weekend, maybe some yard work, watching TV, and just relaxing. But then, I heard a loud knock at the door. It wasn't a friendly knock, it was a demanding one. My stomach tightened as I opened the door. There stood my parents, holding suitcases. "Surprise," my mom said, stepping inside like she already owned the place. I barely had time to react before she started looking around, inspecting everything. My dad quietly followed, dragging their bags inside. I stood frozen, trying to understand what was happening. "What's going on?" I finally asked, shutting the door. My mom turned to me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We're moving in." I blinked. "What? You have space, so why should we waste money on an apartment when we can live here?" she said casually. I laughed, thinking she had to be joking. "And you didn't think to ask me first?" "There was no need to ask," she said, walking down the hall. "We're family, this is normal." I looked at my dad, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. That's when I knew this was serious. I followed her. "Mom, wait, you can't just." "We'll take the big bedroom," she interrupted. That stopped me. "Excuse me?" She nodded. "Your father and I need more space." I clenched my jaw. "No, that's my room." Her smile faded. She stepped closer and lowered her voice. "You don't have a choice." I laughed again. "Oh, but I do." She narrowed her eyes. "Don't be selfish." "Selfish?" I repeated, stunned. "You just barged into my home, tried to take my bedroom, and I'm the selfish one?" My dad finally spoke. "We're family. Families live together." "Not all families," I said. "You kicked me out when I was 18, told me I was on my own." My mom scoffed. "That was different. You needed to learn independence. And now you need to." I shot back. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "We're staying. End of discussion." Then she walked into my bedroom and started unpacking. I turned to my dad. "You're okay with this?" He sighed. "It's easier not to argue." They acted like my house was already theirs, but they were wrong. I didn't fight them that night. I let them think they had won. The next morning, they woke up to a surprise, an eviction notice taped to the front door. I sat in the kitchen, drinking my coffee, waiting for their reaction. It didn't take long. My mother screamed, then came stomping footsteps, and the sound of paper ripping off the door. She burst into the kitchen, waving the paper angrily. "What is this?" I took another sip of coffee. "That's an eviction notice. You have 30 days to leave." Her face turned red. "You can't do this." I shrugged. "I already did." My dad read the paper carefully. This is real," he mumbled. "Very real," I confirmed. My mom's hands shook. "How dare you?" I raised an eyebrow. "How dare you try to take over my home?" She glared at me, furious, but I stayed calm. She had no power here. She stood there, shaking with anger. My dad was silent as usual, looking at the paper. "You think this is funny?" she spat. I leaned back in my chair. "Not funny, just necessary." Her eyes narrowed. "You can't do this, we're your parents." "That doesn't mean you get to take my house," I said. She suddenly smirked, regaining her confidence. "Oh, you think this is your house?" A chill ran through me. "What do you mean?" She folded her arms. "You wouldn't have this house without us." I frowned. "What?" She smiled smugly. "We gave you money for the down payment. Without us, you wouldn't own this place." I clenched my jaw. "You lent me some money, and I paid you back." My mom tilted her head. "Not officially, we never signed anything, and since we helped pay for this house, we have rights to it." I laughed, but I wasn't amused. "You're really stretching the truth here." She smiled sweetly. "Am I?" A judge might not see it that way. And that's when it hit me. This was her plan all along. She had pushed that money on me years ago, acting like it was no big deal, but now, she was using it against me. Back then, I had just gotten a promotion. I could finally afford a house but was struggling to save the down payment in time. My mom insisted on helping, told me not to worry about it. Now, she was twisting it into a way to control me. My stomach turned. I forced myself to stay calm. "Even if that were true, you have no proof." She just smiled. "We'll see." I stared at her, trying to figure out if she was bluffing, but that cold, calculating look told me everything. She absolutely wasn't. That night, I barely slept. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. My mind racing. Would she actually take me to court? Or was she just trying to scare me? I wanted to believe she was bluffing, but deep down, I knew better. The next morning, my mom acted like nothing had happened. She was in the kitchen, humming, making breakfast like she owned the place. My dad sat at the table, silent, staring into his coffee. I didn't say a word, I just grabbed my keys and left. I went straight to my lawyer, an old college friend who had helped me with my will a few years ago. When I told him what was happening, he sighed and rubbed his temples. "This happens more often than you'd think," he muttered. "Seriously?" He nodded. "Parents pull this trick all the time, they help out, then claim ownership later." I exhaled sharply. "So what do I do? Do you have proof that you paid them back?" I frowned. "I gave them cash sometimes, covered a few of their bills." He winced, "But no receipts or written proof." I shook my head. "That's not great," he admitted. "If they push this, it could get messy." My stomach twisted. "What are my chances?" He was quiet for a moment, then he said, "If they claim in court that they gave you the money expecting to live here, a judge could take their side." My blood ran cold. So they could actually win? In the worst case, yeah, especially if they play the "we're old and need help" card. I swallowed hard. My mom was manipulative enough to pull that off. "But," he continued, "there's a way to shut this down before it gets that far." I leaned forward. "How?" "You need proof they're lying. A text, an email, anything that shows they never expected to live here." I thought for a second. My mom never put things in writing. She always made sure her manipulation was verbal, so there'd be no evidence. But then I remembered something. "I might have something," I said. My lawyer raised an eyebrow. "What?" I pulled out my phone and scrolled through old messages, and there it was, a text from my mom, years ago, when she first gave me the money. "Don't worry about paying us back. Consider it a gift. We just want you to have a nice place to live. No strings attached. Love you." I turned the phone toward my lawyer. His eyes lit up. "That," he said, pointing at the screen, "is your golden ticket." When I got home, I was ready for a fight. I walked in, and my mom smiled like she had already won. "Well?" she asked. "Are you ready to do the right thing and let us stay?" I smiled back. "Actually, I talked to my lawyer." Her expression faltered. "And guess what?" I continued. "I found proof that you gave me that money, with no conditions, no agreements, no legal claim." Her face turned pale. I leaned in. "So if you want to take this to court, go ahead, but when a judge sees this, you won't just lose, you'll look like a liar trying to scam your own son." For the first time since this started, she had nothing to say. But I wasn't done. Her silence didn't last long. It never did. Her face twisted in anger, her lips pressing together. Then, suddenly, she let out a sharp laugh. "You think that little text means anything?" she sneered. "You think a judge will take that seriously? One old message?" I kept my face blank. "It's proof." She scoffed. "It's just a message. It doesn't say anything about our real agreement." I clenched my fists. Of course, she wasn't backing down. "Fine," I said, keeping my voice calm, "then let's go to court." That made her flinch, just for a second. But she recovered fast, her eyes glinting with something I didn't like. "You really want to do this?" she asked, her voice softer now, almost amused. I didn't answer. She stepped closer and whispered, "You think you're in control, but you have no idea what I can do." I stared at her. "What does that mean?" Her smirk grew. "You'll find out soon enough." I should have been more worried, but honestly, I was just exhausted. I turned to my dad. "Are you really going along with this?" He tensed but didn't look at me. I sighed. Unbelievable. Then I walked upstairs and locked my bedroom door. I needed to think. The next morning, things got worse. I woke up to voices outside. At first, I thought my mom was on the phone. Then I heard my front door open. I jumped out of bed, threw on a shirt, and ran downstairs. And froze. Two strangers stood in my living room, middle-aged, well-dressed, looking around like they were checking out the place. My mom stood next to them, smiling like a real estate agent. "Oh, good, you're awake," she said casually. "Come meet the Parkers, they're very interested in the house." My stomach dropped. "What?" I asked, my voice dangerously low. The woman, Mrs. Parker, gave me a polite smile. "Your mother was just telling us about the property. It's a beautiful home." I turned to my mom, my heart pounding. "What the hell is going on?" She smiled sweetly. "Oh, honey, it's simple. Since you don't appreciate this home, we've decided to sell it." I stared at her, my body going cold. "You can't sell my house." She tilted her head. "Oh, but we can." Then she pulled out a folder and handed it to me. I snatched it, flipping through the papers. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then it hit me. My name was on the deed. But so was theirs. Joint ownership. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My hands shook as I looked at my mother. What did you do? I asked. She just shrugged. We protected our investment. I turned to my dad. All those years ago, when she gave me that money, she had already decided she would come back one day to take what she thought was hers, and my dad had let it happen. My whole body trembled as the truth hit me. They weren't just trying to move in, they were trying to sell my house and take the money. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. So, what? You're just going to kick me out, sell my house, and keep the cash? My mother smiled. We'll give you a share, of course. A share? Of my own house? My fists clenched. You really don't see how wrong this is, do you? She sighed, acting like I was being dramatic. Oh, stop it. This is the best choice for everyone. I let out a bitter laugh. Everyone? Or just you? She ignored me, flipping through the papers like everything was already decided. You can fight it if you want, but legally, we co-own the house. If you take this to court, you'll waste years and money, just to lose. Is that what you want? She thought she had won, but she had made one big mistake. She underestimated me. Fighting back, I turned and walked upstairs. Where are you going? My mother called after me. I didn't answer. I grabbed my laptop and started typing. If she wanted a legal fight, fine, but I wouldn't go in unprepared. First, I forwarded the text, the one where she said the money was a gift, to my lawyer. He replied almost immediately. This is good. Stay calm, don't let them see you panic. Next, I found a real estate lawyer and booked an emergency consultation. Then, just to be safe, I printed out every bill and document proving that I had paid for this house, alone, from the start. When I went back downstairs, my mother was laughing with my dad, sipping tea like she had already won. I sat across from them, my face unreadable. Mom, I said, let me ask you something. She raised an eyebrow. What? When you and Dad bought your first house, did Grandma and Grandpa put their names on the deed? She frowned. Of course not. Did they ever try to move in and sell it out from under you? Her face twitched. That's different. How? She scoffed. Because we worked for that house. She stopped, realizing what she had just said. I smiled. Exactly. Her expression darkened. You little. I cut her off. I already spoke to a lawyer. Now, she froze. That text you sent years ago? The one where you said the money was a gift? That's legally binding. Her face paled. And you know what else my lawyer said? I leaned in. If you try to sell this house without my consent, that's fraud. She opened her mouth, closed it. My dad shifted uncomfortably. Now, son, let's not overreact. I turned to him, my voice cold. Overreact? You signed legal documents behind my back. My mother crossed her arms. We did what was best for the family. No, I said, standing up. You did what was best for you, and now, you're going to pack your things and leave, today. She let out a bitter laugh. And if we don't? I pulled out my phone. Then I call the police and tell them 2 trespassers are in my home. Her face twisted with rage. You wouldn't dare. I hovered my thumb over the call button. Try me. For the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. She had lost, and she knew it. The end. She spent the next hour packing, muttering about how ungrateful I was. My dad, as always, just went along with it, stuffing clothes into a suitcase without a word. As they loaded their things into the car, my mother turned to me one last time. You think you've won, she said, her voice full of venom. You'll regret this. I crossed my arms. I regret ever trusting you. That hit her harder than I expected. For a second, her face crumbled. Then, she straightened, flipped her hair, and got in the car. I watched them drive away, feeling nothing. Not relief, not sadness. Just empty. A week later, they sent me a letter. I didn't open it. I just threw it in the trash. Then, I sat down, took a deep breath, and let it all sink in. My whole life, I had tried to be the perfect son, to make them proud, to earn their love. But their love always had strings attached. And the moment I refused to give them what they wanted, they turned on me. And honestly? That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because for the first time in my life, I was free.